GM hackers. Kushi, can you check if the headphones are working? GM hackers. Can you hear? Can you hear me? GM hackers. All right. Thanks for joining us today. I just want to walk you through what Okto is and how you guys can build on Okto, and I'll also be talking about the bounties that Okto has for you at ETHIndia. Let's get started. So the problem that Okto is trying to address is the mass onboarding of users and developers into Web3. Right now, users are not using many Web3 applications because they don't find applications with good user experience and utility. And that's a problem. We don't have good applications with good user experience and utility to give to the users. We don't have good applications because the majority of the majority of sorry the majority of the developers are from the Web2 space, and we have a very small fraction of them in the Web3 space. And it's difficult for them to learn Web3 overnight and start building. There are so many complexities in Web3, and Web3 is a rapidly evolving space, so it's difficult for them to start building on Web3. So Okto positions itself as an orchestration layer. We've integrated several blockchain ecosystems, many EVM chains, Solana, Aptos, Cosmos, and we have an SDK, a developer toolkit that allows Web2 developers to build for Web3, and it gives a Web2 like building experience. So this is what Okto does. So we believe that the developers should only focus on the app's user experience and business logic, and they need not focus on the complexities of Web3, mainly how to onboard users, how to create wallets, how to manage their accounts, and these different blockchain ecosystems and protocols, they have different ways of interacting with them. So they don't have to worry about how a payload is constructed, how gas is added, how nonce is managed, or even how to do the entire transaction orchestration. So we want to abstract all Web3 complexities out. We do chain abstraction, account abstraction, transaction lifecycle management, and gas abstraction for the developers. So this is what we're doing at Okto. We want to be a complete middleware orchestration layer between Web3 and any dApp development, and this is the way that we think that we'll get mass onboarding of users into Web3. Right, so let's coming to the bounty that we have for ETHIndia. We have total of $7,500 worth of bounties. 5,000 will be given to the best five consumer apps that we see here. When I say consumer apps, I want you guys to think of the good user experience, have a business use case, apps that you would want to use and you think that others would want to use. Those apps that can bring users into Web3, those are the kind of apps that we're looking for. We also have $2,500 worth of bounties for every successful Okto integration. So it's very easy for you to get your hands on the Okto prize pool. So I'm looking forward to seeing all the projects that are getting built. So let's go to a small walkthrough of our docs and other tools that developers can use to build on Okto. Starting with our docs. Right, this is how the Okto docs look. This is our landing page. We have 4 ways that you can build on Okto. One is for the web developers, we have our React SDK. For the mobile developers, we have a React Native SDK and the Flutter SDK. Or if you're building on a different platform, feel free to use our set of APIs to directly integrate Okto into your system. Right, the first step to using Okto is to go to the Okto dashboard. You can find the link to the Okto dashboard in the top right corner of the docs. Once you click it, you will be taken to the dashboard, and the dashboard requires login. So you will have to enter your email address, and you'll receive an OTP on your email, and this is how you log into the dashboard. The first step on the dashboard is going to the API keys section. API keys allows you to access Okto services and invoke our APIs. So the client-side APIs are exposed as of now to the developers, and how you would use them is to copy the app secret. So this is the client API key. The app secret should be copied and added into your code. If you're using the APIs, you will add it to the header to authenticate, following which you'll get an Okto auth token, using which you can invoke any other API. If you're using the SDKs, you will have to add it to your environment variable and create the and initialize the Okto provider. So once you have the API key, you will be able to use Okto's endpoints. After this, for this API key, you will have to enable some chains. I advise you to enable only the chains that you require. You can enable, so we have on the EVM side, we have Polygon mainnet, Polygon Amoy testnet, and base mainnet. So if we don't have base testnet as of now, but you can build on base mainnet, and we will fund your mainnet wallet with a small amount for testing and demo purposes. So please reach out to me in on the Telegram, or you can find any one of us at the Okto booth, and we'll be happy to help you out if you're building on the base mainnet. So once you have enabled the chains, you'll have to also enable certain tokens in each chain. Right now, we support the native token of each chain by default and a stable coin, at least one stable coin on each chain. If you need a custom token, your own token, please come and find us at the Okto booth, and we will whitelist it for your ID specifically. Right now, it cannot be done via the dashboard in a self-serve manner, but we'll be happy to do it if you come and talk to us. Sponsorship. So Okto has a feature where you as an app developer, we call you the vendor. So for each vendor, we enable sponsorships such that for your users, that is your dApp users, you will be able to pay fees on their behalf. So if you want to use this feature, you will have to activate your sponsor wallet and add funds to this wallet, and every transaction your user makes from your application, the fee part of it will be deducted from this wallet. So Okto uses smart contract accounts for all the chains. So on EVM and for Solana, Aptos, and other chains, we use smart contract wallets. So sponsorship, that makes sponsorship possible. So once you have done all of this setup on your Okto dashboard, you can start using Okto. So you can use any of our 3 SDKs, or you can use the APIs directly. So I'm going to just walk you through some of the APIs. So the first step is to authenticate the user that comes to your dApp. So when a user is using your application, he should have like a Web2 like experience in using something that he is familiar with to use the application. So right now, Okto supports 4 kinds of authentication. One is authenticate via your Google account. So that is authenticate via the Google ID token. And then second is authenticate via email OTP, where the user will send an email, and we will against that email we'll create accounts, and we'll send a OTP using which he can log in. The third method is the phone OTP. Similar to email OTP, we get the OTP on your mobile, and we create accounts against the user's phone number. And the fourth feature is a custom JWT kind of login. So if you want, let's say, like if you have a unique requirement where you want to do custom login for your users, you can provide us with an authenticate API endpoint that we can use to verify and create user accounts based on that. So this is the JWT custom login. But the only thing is, Okto is an interoperable wallet, meaning any user that uses your application, and if he uses another application also that has also integrated Okto, the wallet will be common. So the assets are interoperable. But in case of JWT login, it is closed loop. That means a user logged in via JWT will have wallets only created in that environment. So if you want to learn more about JWT, please come to our booth and we can explain it to you. So once the authentication has happened, let me show you Google Auth. So once the authentication has happened, you will get a response with the auth token. So this is the crucial component using which you can invoke any other feature of our Okto platform. So using this auth token is created as an amalgamation of two things. One is the user's way of entering the system. It can be the Google Gmail account, or it could be the phone, or it could be the email. And the second part is the API key that you have copied from the dashboard. So the auth token is unique for these two. They both of them act like a combined private key, you can say. So using this auth token, you can perform actions on behalf of your user. So basically, you as the vendor will have custody over your users, and you can invoke transactions on their behalf. So once you have the auth token, you can invoke any other API. For the first time users, you will have to initially create the wallet for the users. So once you call the create wallet post call, for all the chains that you've enabled on your dashboard, a wallet will be created, right? So let's say the person has only enabled base, then the base wallet is created. So now this is other than the authenticate APIs, all the other APIs will only take the auth token in the header. And you can just check out this docs for all the types of responses that you get. So you have to create the wallet for the first time if the user is logging in, but in subsequent times you can just fetch the wallet using the get call. You can also fetch the user details. You can get the supported networks and tokens. These are the networks and tokens that you have enabled on your dashboard. And all of these have a mirror in the SDK. So there are similar functions in the SDKs that you can call, but I'm just walking you through the APIs. Get portfolio will fetch the balance of every enabled token on every enabled chain for that particular user. So this is the get portfolio API. Now I want to talk about three very cool intent-based APIs that we have. We have one API to transfer tokens, one API to transfer NFTs, and one API to invoke any smart contract on any of the supported chains. So the transfer token is a single API call that will where you just have to specify the network name, the token address. If it is native token, you can leave it blank, the quantity of the tokens that you're transferring, and the recipient address. And regardless of which chain you're invoking and as long as the user has sufficient balance to execute this transfer, the transfer will take place. So now if you invoke the transfer token call, you will get a response with an order ID. Now this order ID doesn't mean that the transaction is successful on chain. It just means that the transaction is successfully submitted on Okto. Now Okto is it's an orchestration layer, so it is executing it figures out what needs to be done and executes the transaction, maybe one or multiple transactions in sequence, right? And finally, when the entire transaction is successful, is the time when you get a successful is the time when the order is successful. So using this order ID, you will have to then go and get the status of that order using the get order history call. So you pass the order ID here and you will get a response like this. Only when the status is success and you have a non-null transaction hash, it means that the transaction is successful on chain. Right. So to know what are the different status and the life cycle, you can actually go to our advanced developer helper tools, where we have other tools also that you guys can use. You can actually go to this advanced technical reference and go to the status, where we've listed out what are all the different statuses possible, and you can like plan your logic accordingly. Yeah, coming back to the API reference. So similarly, we have calls for transfer NFT and raw transaction execute. So raw transaction execute is of two types. That one is to write to the chain and one is to read from chain. So to read contract data, you use the read contract API, and to execute write on-chain data, you use the execute raw transaction call. So now in the execute raw transaction call, we have two parameters, network name and transaction. And transaction is actually a dynamic object based on the chain that you're interacting with. Excuse me. In case of an EVM chain that is polygon base, the transaction object will only consist of from, to, data and value. And data is the ABI encoded hex value of the contract that you're invoking. And if it is a Solana or Aptos chain, then the transaction object will be for that chain. For example, in Solana, it will be instructions and signers. And in Aptos, you will have function arguments, type arguments, and function name. So this is a dynamic object. And each of them have their own order history. So for example, in NFT, if you're doing transfer NFT, you have to use the transfer NFT order details API to check the status of the order. In case of execute raw transaction, you should use a get raw transaction status call to get the order details. Just quickly walking we have a showcase page where we have a lot of community built applications. You can check out, they're all hosted, and you have the GitHub repo. These applications are not maintained by us, they're built as hackathon projects and by the community. So this is a good place for you to see what other people have built and get some ideas. We also have a page for hack ideas, you can also check it out. We have in our advanced helper tools, if you're using raw transaction execute, we have an ABI encoder. So where you just have to enter the ABI, the contract address, function name, and parameters. And we will give you the data field of the transaction object, which is the hex encoded ABI encoded hex format that you have to pass in the data field. You can do a search. This is our Discord, so you can go to our Discord and post any questions. We're also active on the Telegram chat. We're also there in the booth, so please come to us for any doubts. You can also check all that I'm showing you. All the SDKs is open sourced, so please, if you need to go check it out for any reason, please do. Yes, and that's pretty much it. But I wanted to also show you a simple demo. This is a React application that is built using the Okto SDK. So let me just show you a small demo. So you have a Google sign-in option. So I'm just going to sign in here. So a vendor, so this app is let's say I'm building the app. I've entered my vendor ID here, and anyone can log into this app and they'll become the users of this app. So once logged in, I've already created my account. Otherwise, you would have had to call the create wallet function. You can see the user details. You can view wallets. So I have enabled all of these chains. So I'm getting an address for all of these wallets. I can also view my portfolio. So this for every chain, for every token that I have enabled, the balance. If it's a non-zero balance, it will be part of this response. So I have a total of 8 tokens in my account, in my Okto embedded wallet. So we call this our embedded wallet. I'll show you a simple demo of the transfer token. So let's say I want to do token transfer on base, and I will transfer, what do I have on base? Yes, I have USDC on base. So I'm going to transfer USDC on base. I'll just copy the token address. I'm going to paste it over here. and seem to have a lot of USDC. So I'm just going to transfer one USDC, and I need any other account address on base. I'm just going to use one of my other accounts. I've already copied it here. Yeah, so pasting my other account, and I have called the transfer token call, and I got the order ID. As I said, the order ID is not does not indicate that it is successful on chain. I'll copy the order ID and invoke the check order status call. Let's check the status. So it is in running state. So that means it's submitted on Okto, and Okto has submitted it on the chain, and we're waiting for confirmation on the chain. So that's why we don't have a transaction hash here. So you need to invoke this get order status continuously till you get the status as successful. Let me stick. Yeah, so now it is successful and the transaction hash is here. So let's just quickly check on the Explorer. Yeah. Right, 45 seconds ago, this transaction was successfully executed via your Okto embedded wallet on chain with a completely Web2 like experience. The user just logged in with his Google and he just entered a bunch of parameters, and you were able to do an on chain transaction with Okto. Thank you.